Tonight, police in the Ashanti region gunned down 2 suspected armed robbers for allegedly attempting to rob a gold dealer at Manso Dawosaso in the Amansia South district. This brings to 4 the total number of robbers shot dead within 2 days.
Our intelligence team, operational team are closing on them. Their time is running out, and we'll do whatever it takes to get them out of business.
Meanwhile, residents of Ofenso in the Ashanti region say they are living in fear following the disappearance and deaths of children there.
Children are disappearing. A 14-year-old girl and a 2-year-old boy have gone missing for 3 days. So this confirms the assertion that they use blood to get their riches.
Tonight, we'll hear from the police on what appears to be a deliberate attempt to safeguard the renewed confidence in the service. And Top Story is brought to you by Gasem, the Nation Builder, and Vodafone. Together we can. My name is Ernest Manu. 4 armed robbers shot dead within 2 days, with the latest recorded in an operation at Manso Dawosaso in the Amansia South district. The 2 suspected armed robbers were gunned down for allegedly attempting to rob a gold dealer. Another suspect, identified as Abraham Kwesi Tete, has been arrested, with 4 others on the run. We'll bring you details on this operation shortly, but this development comes just 2 days after the police in Accra gunned down 2 robbers at a shaman. The 2, according to the police, lost their lives at a hospital after sustaining gunshot wounds during a shootout with the police. A statement signed by the Acting Director General of Public Affairs, ACP Kwesi Fori, said a 3rd suspect, 67-year-old Bukari Salifu, who is a financier and supplier of weapons for the group, was also arrested in his hideout in Zenu. So 2 major police operations within 2 days. These follow the recent upsurge in broad daylight robberies. Remember, last week 4 cases were reported. We had 1 in Wager, another at Apenkwa. There was also 1 in Nachimota, and then 1 at Kwashiman, with 1 person sustaining gunshot wounds. The Acting Director General of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service, ACP Kwesi Fori, warned the criminals that they will be hunted down.
Our intelligence team, operational team are closing on them. Their time is running out, and we'll do whatever it takes to get them out of business. The leadership of the police is so determined that we create a desirable security for our people. And now we're going to also ensure high visibility presence of the police. You might have noticed that even the horses also have been brought on board.
Okay.
In the past, it was just for ceremonial purposes. And they are also doing a lot of community policing, a lot of community engagement. People are talking to them, children are talking to them, the aged are all talking. But regarding this 5-member or so gang, armed to the teeth, that are causing trouble in the metropolis, we can state that a lot of work has been done of them. We've identified some, and we are going all out to get them. Even in one of the robbery cases that you've mentioned, we've made an arrest. And that person is under serious investigations. And the coming days, the coming times might tell us what we're going to do. That is why we said we're closing on them. And we've thrown an eagle eye, monitoring all their developments. And as part of yesterday's emergency meeting with IGP chaired, he had directed the regional commander, divisional commander to make sure that patrols around financial institutions should be a key thing. Around banks, around where people transact business, we might be seeing a lot of police patrols, both plainclothes and uniform, in doing so.
So that is the acting Director General of Public Affairs for the Ghana Police Service, ACP Kwesi Foyide, warning that they will hand down the criminals. We'll speak to him shortly on this latest development in the Ashanti region. But let's go there live now and speak to Erastus Asaridonko, because residents of Ofenso say they are living in fear following the disappearance of children in the town and also recent developments there. Erastus, you've been speaking to some of the residents and they suspect or they attribute this disappearances to the activities of Sakawa boys there.
Exactly. And if you look at the cases that have been made official, those that have come to the attention of the police, we are talking about a 4-year-old girl, Benedicta, whose body was found, with her throat slit. We are looking at little Abdullah, who is also 4 years, who has gone missing for 2 months, and he has not been found. And these are the 2 cases that have been made official to the police, and 2 people have been arrested in connection with it. Investigations are ongoing. But there are numerous cases that the residents mention with specific reference to specific places in Ofenso, which the police say have not come to their attention. And so the residents are looking at these disappearances, these cases, these murders, and they are looking at people they know, young people between the ages of 15 and 21, who have suddenly become wealthy people displaying opulence, flashy modern cars in town, and chanting, bravado about drinking blood and all that. Then they juxtapose that perhaps these are the people behind the disappearances, these are the people behind the murders, and that is what is creating that fear within the people.
You will see very young people driving expensive cars. Ofenso used to be peaceful without killings and abductions. But today, Ofenso is full of bloody stories.
Children are disappearing. For instance, a 14-year-old girl and a 2-year-old boy have gone missing for 3 days at quarters and have since not been found. So this confirms the assertion that they use blood to get their riches. Even the elderly are disappearing. So if your child goes missing, you just have to give up on him or her and consider them dead. We are very worried. Ofenso is a very important town, and to have this happening here is deeply worrying.
So those are the concerns of the residents. The Erastus is still with us on the line. Erastus, you mentioned that 2 people have been arrested in connection with the disappearance. 1 case there, but the chief of the town is not taking this lightly. He's been meeting with the security chiefs.
Exactly. And he told us that he has called 2 meetings. In fact, this was confirmed by the police hierarchy there as well, that those meetings were called. Members of the MUSEC, that's the Municipal Security Council, were there. The assembly members were there. All opinion leaders and traditional leaders were also there. They did not come to any conclusive strategy to deal with it. So they are holding another meeting on the 4th of next month to try to come to a consensus on how to deal with recent influx of, unexplained wealth in the town and disappearances, and especially the murder of children and those who are missing.
We called all the security heads in the municipality to a meeting at the palace where we discussed this particular issue, and they promised to take action. Last week, we also summoned them to the second meeting where with assemblymen, the MCE, everybody, we invited all of them to a meeting of Nananom. But we are having some challenges. We have decided that we are organizing an emergency meeting on the 4th, then for the traditional council to take final decision.
So that's the chief of Ofenso there speaking with my colleague Erastus Asaridonko. We're joined by the Acting Director General of the Ghana Police Service, ACP Kwesi Fori. Mr. Kwesi Fori, we are grateful that you could join us here on Top Story. Let's start with the latest operation in Manso Daosaso. You say in the statement that you mounted surveillance on this gang, but they managed to break into the home of this gold dealer. How did this happen, and at what point did the police move in?
Thank you very much. The police through intelligence gathered some information regarding those criminals within the shortest possible time. And it was good and great that the police were able to move in quickly when chance upon them in the house.
Hello, ACP. We seem to be losing along the line. If you could just position yourself well.
Police regarding their activities at the last hour. And they move in quickly, and behold, they chance upon them and stop them from committing. And they succeeded in gunning down two who resist lawful orders to submit to arrest. And the other four, but we believe that some of them sustained gunshot wounds. That is why we've appealed to medical facilities in the Ashanti region, in particular, to be of help to us, to get those people to come for medical help. Secondly, we are poised and determined, to flush out some of these miscreants. Thorough investigation and aggressive operations led to the arrest of the taxi driver who took them to the scene. He is now in custody assisting in investigations.
So you've arrested the taxi driver, and you have the taxi as well. But then we're also learning from this operation that the deceased, one of them, was actually arrested earlier and had been granted bail and was expected to appear in court subsequently. And he was then found to be part of this gang. Is that right?
No, he was part of the gang. It was after his demise that he was identified as the one involved in an earlier robbery and charged, to court.
And so this gold dealer, was he at home at the time of the attack?
Well, they mounted surveillance on him from his workplace to the house. And he was in the house, where they were unable to reach him due to the intervention of the police.
And you say 4 others are on the run?
4 others on the run. No, there were 6 in number that went to the house, minus the taxi driver. Okay. And 2 died through exchange of fire. They were pronounced dead at a local hospital. And the other 4 ran away. But we believe, from the stories of our ops officers, some of them might have sustained gunshot wounds.
Okay. Did they make away with anything?
As I said, when they entered and they were breaking the doors, and taking control of the place, that the police forcefully intervened.
Now, there's also the situation in Offenso, again in the Ashanti region, and Erastus Asari Donko, updating us a while ago, said 2 people have been arrested in connection with the disappearance of one. The residents say they're living in fear. They're attributing some of these disappearances, especially of children, to the activities of Sakawa boys in the community. Any update on operations there, security operations there? They want security beefed up there in Offenso.
Having listened to your interview and that of the chief, among others, I can assure you that the Ashanti Regional Police Commander and his men will do whatever it takes, to inject sanity at Offenso. We will not tolerate such criminals, to go further. And I can assure you that those arrested will be dealt with according to law if
evidence is adduced or we establish enough evidence against them. But let me assure, the police administration would like to assure the people of Offenso, the chiefs, the youth, and everybody, that the police will protect them. The police will do whatever to get rid of miscreants in the city, and that will be there to serve them properly. And that assurance will definitely manifest within the shortest possible time.
Mr. Kwesifori, there's an observation that we've made. So with the operation that happened in Asherman 2 days ago, which you updated us on, 2 of the robbers again were gunned down. They were pronounced dead at the hospital. In this one as well at Manso, 2 of the armed robbers again gunned down, pronounced dead at the hospital. Is this an approach the police is adopting now? A shoot to kill?
Let me make this clear. We are all living witnesses to what some of the criminals have done to and
we seem to be losing you, Mr. Kwesifori. If you can just reposition yourself again.
Yes.
Perhaps you can have a better. Yes, it's better now.
I'm saying that we are very much aware about the modus of the criminals. We are very much aware of the decent people that they've killed. We are very much aware of what they've been doing. And the police will not sit down unconcerned. This is a service. The police service mandated to keep law and order. And the language of those criminals are total violence, disregard to law and order, and they are not easily to submit to law. And when they are armed with illegal weapons, and in such situations, the police is empowered by law, by our service rules and regulations, to do what is appropriate while confronting such hardened armed criminals. And in this case, with regard to the Ashama, you saw the kind of weapons that we're having. With that of the Onsaso in the Ashanti region, we saw the weapons which have also been displayed on, for the information of the media and the general public. And the police cannot go there with bare hands. And when they are subjected to authority for arrest, they refuse and try to engage the police. Then the police might take a very tougher action in line with law, and we call it plan, proportionality, legality, accountability, and necessity, and also to make sure that we protect the rank and file of the service in fighting such criminals. So it is not that we have a penchant for, but it is duty that calls, and that decision is taken professionally, taken graciously, and timely, to make sure that we contain such crimes. And I can assure you that the police will do whatever it takes, even the daylight robbers. We are determined, as we stated. We know them, we know what they are doing, we are closing in, and lo and behold, the police will deliver and protect everybody and allow people to live in peace. But let me say something. Generally speaking, armed robbery is not on the increase, but there have been some isolated ones that are prompted public conversation. And as an agency, as a service, we need to deal with it, and we are dealing with it. And you might have noticed that we've strategized in the Accra metropolitan area. We police advantage point joints, strategic areas, search operations ongoing, and look out for the criminals also ongoing.
Yes.
Again, you might have deployment and robbery teams. They are there. Most of the networks of the armed robbers, and we've seen total reduction in the Bono East South, and on the Northern Corridor, we are beefing up positions and entry into all the other northern regions to Upper East.
And SCP, we see the police around.
Make sure.
Yes, we see the police around indeed. SCP, we see the police around. We see that visibility has indeed improved. But what do you say to those who say these operations and these two that you've carried out in the last 2 days appear to be a desperate response to safeguard the renewed confidence in the police service? You indicated that robbery is not on the rise, and that these are just isolated cases engaging the attention of the public.
Yeah, it is not a desperate move. Management is at work. As I said, on assumption of office, the acting inspector general of police called a national emergency conference involving all the 18 regional commanders for that to re-strategize and map out effective measures, to carry out with our business in terms of policing the country and allowing police authority to prevail in all communities and its capability and ability to fight crime. And with what happened during the day robberies, following public conversation, the media discussion,
ACP, we seem to be losing you. If you can just reposition yourself. Whilst you do that, let me speak to security analyst Adam Bona. He works closely with the police as well. He's got his eyes in there. Mr. Bona, do you see, first of all, an organized crime sort of sending a signal to the new administration in their renewed, in their quest to increase police visibility and also protect the citizenry? ACP Kwesi Fori has just mentioned that crime is not, or robberies is not on the rise, except that these are a few cases that have engaged the attention of the public, especially because they've been carried out in broad daylight.
Okay, so good evening, and good evening to my good friend ACP Kwesi Fori. What I know have taken place is a case of where these criminals in the past operated with impunity, and once they knew that they could go after ordinary citizens and no one would come after them, they dared rob people even in front of the police headquarters. That is how daring these guys became. And I won't call this an organized crime. These are pockets of criminals who have, firearms and, use them. And it was maybe, the police administration in the past found it very difficult to go after them. And so with the renewed effort at going after them, some of them still, are living in the past, believing that probably this renewed effort at clamping down on violent crimes, as we are seeing, it's something that would be a 9-day wonder. Let me also put it out there that, Budumburam, I don't know the last time you heard of any violent crime around the Kaswa Budumburam area. It is because of the effort that has gone into that area. And so that area was a den for some of these hardened criminals. And so what is now also happening is that the situation, the curve is going to go up a bit before it begins to come down. Now you have Budumburam camp, we are told, is going to be demolished.
Yes.
It means that those who are still remaining and lurking around are likely to go out there, into the corners of this country and attempt. If they try, I'm sure that as I drove within town today, I saw the police, anti-terror unit and the SWAT unit with big firearms standing at various points, which I think is good. We want to see the police being able to defend themselves. I would say a police officer who cannot defend himself has no business telling me he's protecting me. And so you see, Ernest, I think that these, call them class of criminals, actually are so daring, so much so that what I have picked up is some foreigners have been arrested. I'm sure Mr. Kwesi Fori will not tell you, but some West African nationals have been arrested. And so it is a combination of a lot of factors, which I'm sure we might not be able to delve into. And those of them who are still around instead of when they are accosted by the police to surrender, is to attempt to probably exchange fire with the police. And I wouldn't want to see a police officer, dying in line of fire like this. And so, as far as I'm concerned, let's urge the police and say they should go after the criminals, but it should be done diligently so that ordinary persons don't get robbed.
Exactly, and I think that's the concern.
Doing well, as the days go by.
Very well, and indeed, we are happy that the police protect us and do everything possible to maintain the peace and security of this country. But like you did mention, just so because of similar incidents we've seen in the past, you do not want a situation where innocent persons are trapped in the ACP Kwesi. I guess that is the concern. Any assurance in that regard? Hello, ACP.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, and so I guess the concern for many is that it is not about the operation and necessarily gunning down robbers, but just so that we do not have innocent people trapped in some of these operations.
Yep. As I said, our mindset is to protect the good people of this country, to reduce crime, to arrest criminals, to let them face persecution. And the law also enjoins all of us. Should a policeman announce an arrest and state offense to an individual group of persons, it is their responsibility to submit to lawful arrest. But should they resort to armed force, to use illegal weapon on a legitimate institution and members of the service will take action based on law and service instructions, and that is right to proportionality, aimed,
Thank you very much. That's the Acting Director General of Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service, ACP Kwesi. Earlier, you had the security analyst Adam Bona join us here on Top Story, brought to you by Gasem, the Nation Builder, and Vodafone. Together we can. News Night with MFA Pao comes up after this message.